The Louie T Network is powered by Music Head University. Music Heads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up, take command. This is a command post special as we are doing my mock draft for the Commanders, all 7 rounds, only 5 picks. This is the stick and pick edition. We already did the draft with trades where the Commanders could move around, wheel and deal, maybe pick up more picks. I've given you a model where they condensed the picks, went straight to where the business was going to be best dealt, which is second, third, fourth, got in, got out, got themselves 5 picks of 5 really good football players. That's a highly unlikely scenario, but that's the fun of doing things with trades. This, to me, is more realistic. The Commanders having to stick and pick, potentially not being able to get out of 29, not being able to get out of 61, or maybe it doesn't make any sense to move out of 61 because of what is available, and moving back may cause you to miss out on a really good talent. They don't have a 3rd round pick, which also kind of gives you a little pause at 61 as to, hey, if I pass up on this position here, by the time I circle back in the 4th round, I may not like what I find. So now you got to start playing that into your mind and taking that into consideration. And then there's another sizable gap from the 4th round to the 6th round. There's no 5th round pick. So you start telling yourself, if I haven't taken running back by the 4th round, maybe I need to take one. I think there are going to be options available that satisfy you in the 6th and the 7th if you should go that route. So I'm not as concerned with running back, but there are positions like corner, for instance. Like if you don't take corner by that 2nd round pick, by the time you roll back around in the 4th round, there's not a lot there that you love. There's stuff still there, but do you love it? I'm not sure you do, right? Edge rusher. That's another position where you may have to take it by the 4th round, because by the time you get to the 6th round, it's not going to be like in this mock draft. I knew I had a fail-safe at corner and edge. So it's like, again, it was sort of a cheat code for me. But I know that's not realistic with those 2 players in particular. They're not going to be sitting there waiting. Hey, just in case you don't have anything at corner or edge, don't worry, we got a couple stashed away for you that'll satisfy. That ain't going to be the case come draft day. And I think edge is one of those positions. If you don't get one by the 4th round, you probably SOL in this draft. Like, I really don't want to be sniffing around a 6th, 7th round edge rusher, to be honest with you. So with that said, let's get to the proceedings this evening and talk about, I got like 6 mock drafts here for you guys that we're going to comb through. So let's dive in. This is the first one that I was able to put together. And again, it was extremely tough. I didn't think it would be as tough. Being that you only have 5 picks, I thought it would be easy to just go in, grab what you need, and get out. Like bread, eggs, cheese, milk, list. I thought it was going to be that simple. Instead, I walked into the grocery store hungry. The bread was all the way at the back of the store, so I had to walk past cookies and all kinds of stuff that I didn't need, but I ended up throwing in the cart anyway. That type of deal. It was tough. I had to make some tough decisions. Oh, by the way, I had a budget, right? You went in the store, you only had this certain amount of items you needed to buy, and you looked at your car and you're like, bro, I only got $30. This is more than $30 worth of stuff. So you got to make some decisions, right? That's what it felt like shopping with just 5 picks. Like, hey, you got some decisions to make, bro. Edge rusher or corner right here. You got to pick one, right? So 29, I already talked about this. If Jihad Campbell's on the board, I don't really know if there's really a discussion that needs to be had, because if he's on the board, that means other guys that we thought were going to be on the board aren't, right? Because he shouldn't be here at 29. And more likely than not, he won't be, okay? I'm not wiring or preconditioning my brain to expect Jihad Campbell to be available at 29, but he kept being available in these mock drafts. So again, I kept taking them because this is value you can't pass up. And this is the thing. While I say this, I don't expect him to be there. There's no guarantee that he won't be there, right? That's the beauty of 29 and where we sit and all of the different scenarios that could play itself out. We can get to 29 and Jahad Campbell could be staring us in the face, right? There are a number of guys that could be staring us in the face, and you're like, hey, any one of those guys will make me smile. He's the guy that I think has the highest upside, that gives you blue chip, ability, which is why I think he'll be gone. Because there's no guarantee that Donovan Izaraku is going to be a blue chipper. He'll more likely than not be a red, but there's no guarantee. Jahad Campbell, there's no guarantee, but he feels like he's going to be a blue chip. Donovan Izaraku feels like he's going to be a red chip, which means a really good player that might make a Pro Bowl or two, but he ain't going to be no all-pro. Jahad Campbell has the ability to be an all-pro type player, right? That's what you're hoping to somehow get your hands on at 29. So if he's there, there aren't going to be too many other guys that I say, yeah, no, take him over Jahad Campbell, right? Olufemi Oladipo, we've talked about him numerous times throughout this process because we know the team likes him a lot. And somehow in my cockamamie brain, I keep telling myself, this guy's going to be around in the 4th round. Teams may be higher on him than I think. I just look at him. He's raw, and there's, upside, tremendous upside, but there's just not enough production. He just made the position switch. I can't see a team saying, we got to prioritize Olufemi Oladipo in the 2nd round. Now, I can see somebody taking him in the 3rd round, but in a lot of these mock drafts, by the time I got on the board in the 4th round, he was long gone. And in a lot of these drafts, he was coming off the board in the 2nd round. So I'm like, well, maybe I need to rewire my shit, and I'm all out of whack. I think he's a 3rd, 4th round pick. And I still, in my warped brain, I still think he could be there in the 4th round. So you don't have to take him at 61. All it takes is one team to be like, you a damn lie. And in a lot of these mock drafts, you a damn lie. And I had to take him. And this is a very aggressive defensive, mock draft here, because you're taking a linebacker that we think could be a pass rusher, and then you're taking another guy that is a pass rusher now. So you're really doubling down on trying to get to the quarterback, which would make a ton of sense because they really didn't make, like, if Jacob Martin is your answer to getting to the quarterback, good luck, right? So this is them saying, hey, we didn't forget about getting to the quarterback. I know it was overkill in the offseason getting, to stop the run. We didn't forget about getting to the quarterback. That's what this mock draft says, right? Also, what it says, too, is I didn't love what was available at 61 at the cornerback position. A lot of the guys that I felt like were worthy of that pick were gone, right? So then you get to the 4th round, and a lot of times Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee was available. And he may be available in the 4th round come 128. I can't say that he won't be. I wouldn't be shocked if he wasn't, but I wouldn't be shocked if he is either, right? He's one of those type players. And he's the 3-down back. Did have some fumbling issues this past year, where I think he fumbled either 3 or 4 straight games in a row, including one game where he fumbled twice. But he's a dynamic back. He can catch it out of the backfield. Obviously, he can run inside the tackles. He can run outside. He can give you everything that you're looking for, right, at the running back position. So he would be a good get for this team if he were available at running back. We know they like Jalen Smith, the corner out of USC. And I told you, I feel like the Commanders did a really good job throughout this process of preparing themselves for the, whatever the scenario would be. Like, hey, if we got to take a 1st-round corner, it's Maxwell Hairston. So we're going to do our work on him. We're going to bring him in for a top 30 visit. If we don't get to the corner until the 4th round, Quincy Riley should be available. Let's do some work on him. Let's bring him in for a visit. If we can't get to a corner all the way into the 6th or the 7th round, Jalen Smith will be available. Let's do our work on him. Let's bring him in. And so I feel like they've done that with multiple positions. They've done it with running back. They've done it with corner. They've done it with edge rusher, right? They've done it with a number of positions. And so I think corner is one of those positions they feel good about at any point in the draft. And Smith is not a guy that I necessarily love. I don't hate him. I don't hate his tape. Rather, I just don't think he's a needle mover at the cornerback position. But hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? Right now, Kayvon Seymour is your 5th corner right now. Beggars can't be choosers. So I'd welcome Jalen Smith with open arms if he were to be drafted at 205. And then Elijah Badger, wide receiver out of Florida, reminds me so much of Van Jefferson. Can run, something that we could use. I think he ran a 4.43 at the combine, if I'm not mistaken. And physical receiver, can get open. Another one of these guys, he's not like dynamic with the ball in his hands, but he's good enough but he can stretch the field vertically, something, again, that we don't currently have. And he does a great job of tracking the ball in the air, something that we don't have opposite of Terry McLaurin right now. So this was my first one. I don't love this mock draft. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love this draft, but any draft that we get Jahad Campbell in, I can learn to love, okay? But I don't necessarily love this one. This wasn't my favorite one. I'll tell you when I start to get to some of my favorite ones. All right, so next up, the Commanders take a stab at tackle. We've seen one of my drafts have Josh Simmons as the headliner in the first-round pick. I think there's a chance he could be available. Again, that's the thing about 29 is we could say that about 9 or 10 guys. Oh, I think he could be available. You know, oh, I think he could be available. There's a scenario in which Josh Simmons can be available. There's a scenario in which Donovan Izaraku. There's a scenario in which guys that we don't think they're going to take, like James Pierce Jr., are available. There's a scenario where Jahad Campbell is available. I don't think he's going to be, but there's a scenario in which he is available, right? And we can keep going on and on and on. There's people that think that Trayvon Henderson is going to be gone in the first round before we even hit the board. I don't think that's going to be the case, but all it takes is one team to see the value in Trayvon Henderson, and he's as good as gone. Speaking of which, look who we have at 61 overall. You guessed it, Trayvon Henderson. There's no way in my mind he's available at 61. If he is, you sprint up there, you take the card, you turn it in, and you feel like you just stole, right? There, and again, if he continues to fall in the second round, someone's going to trade up and get him. You're not going to be able to just sit back and let him fall in your lap. Even if you were thinking he was going to get to you, somebody's going to trade up in front of you at 60 overall to get him. Like, there's no way Trayvon Henderson is sitting there. Now, Quinshon Judkins could be sitting there waiting for you at 61, and I wouldn't blink. And I think that's more likely and plausible than Trayvon Henderson sitting there at 61. That's just, it ain't happening. But in this particular mock draft, it did happen, and you know I wasn't going to let it pass. Me by. All right. Quincy Riley, I told you, is your fourth round fail-safe at the cornerback position. If you haven't taken one in the first 2 rounds, they've done their homework on Quincy Riley. He offers you punt return ability as well. So there's a lot that he brings to the table. But that's a guy that has great movement skills. They had a down year this past year that they think might be able to be closer to his 2023 film than his 2024. So he's the 4th round pick. Baron Sorrell, I talked about him out of Texas. There's no way he's going to be available in the 6th round to me, but he was one of my get out of jail free cards at the end of these mocks, where if I didn't like something or if I hadn't taken a position, corner and edge, I knew I had a fail safe, right? If I would have gotten a 128 and Quincy Riley wasn't available, don't worry about it. Bilal Kone is going to be available at 205 and 245. So I don't have to worry. Like I said, sort of a cheat mechanism built in for me, but I'm going to take advantage of it, right? Baron Sorrell is, to me, Sorrell is a 4th round pick. I think he's no worse than a 5th, but I think he's a 4th round pick. There's no way he's going to be available in the 6th round at 205. But not my problem. He was there. I took him. And then finally, Jimmy Horn Jr., wide receiver out of Colorado, offers you some speed, offers you a guy that you can get it to underneath, can make guys miss, run after catch. Also offers you return ability, punt return, kickoffs, all that good stuff. So he's a guy you add late, and he adds value at multiple spots. So again, not one of my favorite mocks, but just like I said about Jahad Campbell in the first, any mock draft that you get Trayvon Henderson at 61 overall, I can learn to love that draft. Trust me. All right, so this is another Josh Simmons headlined draft, because again, if he's available at 29, this is a guy that if he were healthy, probably would have been one of the first tackles, if not the first tackle taken in this draft. So you have to take that into consideration. He hurt himself relatively early in the season, so I don't think there's any question that he'll be back. It's just, will he be fully healthy and back to his normal self from the patella tear? But if this guy's back to what he was, I don't think anybody's gonna, be squeamish about the Commanders taking this man at 29. Femi Oladipo, again, at 29, at 61, if he's available and you don't love the edge rushing group and where it's heading, you might want to go ahead and get that done right there. And I just know how much they like this kid. So my preference would be to try to get him at 128. He was never available at 128. So I knew better. So when you know better, you do better. Riley, as I said, he's your fail safe in the 4th round. I think if he's there at 128, they're probably going to take him if they haven't already taken corner already. Jaden Blue is the first time you've seen his name on a mock. And I love this kid. If you ask me what running back that I want that wasn't on the main path, if you ask me, give me a guy off the beaten path that is a running back that you want, it's Jaden Blue. All right. He's one of my favorite running backs in this entire draft class because he's exactly what I've wanted as a change of pace running back for many, many years. And if I've already said this, if you ask me which one of these running backs who is, not one of these household name running backs in this year's draft class could end up being, a dynamic player a la Jahmyr Gibbs, I'd tell you it's Jaden Blue. He has that kind of ability. I don't think he's as physically built, like can run in between the tackles, finish runs like Jahmyr Gibbs can, but he can catch it out of the backfield like Jahmyr Gibbs can. He can make guys miss like Jahmyr Gibbs can, and he's just as fast as Jahmyr Gibbs, was coming out of school. So Jaden Blue is a guy that I love, and I would love the Commanders to draft him. Love, love, love it. And then in the final pick, Thomas Fidone out of Nebraska, I'm just like, what is he doing here? Like, in most mocks, he wasn't available. This one in particular, he just was. And I'm like, this is just too good of a talent to pass up. He could easily be your TE1 2 years from now. Like, I just couldn't pass it up. And knowing that our tight end position is set, but it's not set. It's not set in stone. It's set for, the 2025 campaign, but we don't know what Ben Sinnott is. I think we're going to see him play really well this year, but you're still going to have to replace one of these tight ends next year. Ertz more likely than not. And you're going to have a void. And yes, you can really like Colson Yankov, but he's undrafted. He can be replaced. So Thomas Fidone in the 7th, that's to me a 5th round pick right there. Right. 4th, 5th round guy that is somehow sitting here in the 7th round. I just couldn't help myself. So that was the next mock draft. Now we're getting into the mock drafts that I really like. This one is the beginning of the ones where I'm like, okay, now we're cooking with some hot grease, right? Now we cooking with some goddamn high level, some high level shit here, right? So Jahad Campbell, 1st round. We've talked about him already. If you can get him, get him. Period. Let's move on. Josh Connolly sitting here in the 2nd round at 61. There's no way, right? There's no way. I can tell you he was always on the board at 29. Always. There was never a mock that I did where he wasn't available at 29. And there were several guys that I'm like, I'm not sure if they're going to be here at 29, but I can't say that they won't. But Connolly Jr. feels like a guy that somebody's going to reach for, even if I don't necessarily believe that he should go that soon. I believe somebody's going to draft him in the 1st round. It's just not enough quality offensive linemen that he doesn't. For me, at the tackle position in particular, it's just not enough quality offensive linemen, tackles in particular, that should stop Josh Connolly from hearing his name in the 1st round. But again, I mean, a guy like Zabel Gray, he could play all 5 positions. Who knows who drafts him and what they have in mind for him, what they have in store for him. That team may draft him and say, we're going to try him at tackle first. That could be a tackle that comes off the board, right? You're going to see some guards. Booker's probably going in the 1st round, right? So we'll see Connolly. Even if he gets out of the 1st round, I don't think he's going to be available at 61, right? So there's that. But if Connolly's available, you got to jump at the chance to get him. Period. Like, you just got yourself a starting caliber player in this draft at every position if things go the way that I think they could go. In Jahad Campbell, day one starter. Josh Connolly Jr., it's a plug and play right tackle if you want him to be, right? Plug and play, right? Obviously, he played left tackle his entire collegiate career, but he can move. He can make the transition to right tackle. Dylan Sampson, again, you're not going to start him because you got Brian Robinson Jr., you have Austin Eckler, but he'll be competing for, snaps early. And by the time we get to the midpoint of the season, I think he would have already taken over as the lead back. But you got yourself a starting running back. Baron Sorrell, I already talked about this dude. He has no business being there in the 6th round. And I told you, I had 2 fail safes. Baron Sorrell at edge and Bilal Kone at corner. As you can see, I took both of them to wrap up this draft because I feel like that's 2 starters right there too. So to me, this is as quality as it feels like as quality as you're going to get from a needs standpoint being met. You come away with some quality defensive players. You come away with 2 really good offensive players. You feel like this is a win, right? You feel like this is a win. It gets better though. I got this next one. I think this is a slept on mock right here because not enough people are talking about Emeka Egbuka as a 1st round pick at wide receiver. And again, there are a plethora of places he could end up that would make a ton of sense. I think in my mind, there's no way he gets past the Houston Texans. It just makes too much sense with all the injuries and all the shit that's happened at the receiver position for them, not knowing when Tank Dell's going to be ready to play football again, not having Stephon Diggs anymore, knowing what the receiver position looks like for them, knowing that C.J. Stroud and Emeka Egbuka made beautiful music together for multiple years at Ohio State. I just find it hard to believe that they're not going to draft Emeka Egbuka in the 1st round. I just find it hard to believe. He's there in the mid-20s when the Texans are on the board. I think they're going to select him and pair him with C.J. Stroud, and he's going to be awesome for them. And he'll be a great complement to their number 1 wide receiver that they have out there from Michigan. So, but if they don't, I'm looking at Emeka Egbuka and I'm thinking he'd be a great complement to Terry McLaurin. And he's already like out of the packaging. He's already a pro's pro. He's ready to step in right now and give you 1,000 yards in his rookie season. This dude is polished. Polished. Polished is Emeka Egbuka. Ready to give you 82 catches for 1,100 yards in his rookie season. He ready to do that. Not enough people are talking about him. There are a lot of boomer bust receivers that get you excited. Luther Burden III, guys like that. And I'm not going to lie to you. That excites me. But you know what else is really exciting? Consistency. Right? That gets lost, though. Mike Evans isn't flashy. You know what he is, though? Consistent. Emeka Egbuka, not flashy. Very consistent. I would love to add him at 29. And I would be like, yo, this offense has a chance to be uneffing stoppable with Emeka Egbuka, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel. And then all we just need is one of those other receivers. Just pick one to just be solid. Just be solid. Then you get to 61, and this is a guy I know they like. You know what? I like him too. All right. Now, is he the home run threat that I want? No, he's not. But is he an upgrade over Brian Robinson Jr.? And I still thinking in my crazy warped brain, I had my hand was shaking, it was twitching because I got to the end of the draft and I saw speedsters available, and I'm like, bro, you already took a running back. Don't you dare double up. Double up. Don't you dare double up on running back. And my hand was twitching. I wanted to do it. Because you get you a Caleb Johnson and then you double back and you get you a Jaden Blue later in the draft, or you get you Trevor Etienne or someone like that. And I'm like, yo, what are we talking about? But you got 5 picks, bro. You ain't don't know. I mean, technically you are in a position because of what they've done in free agency, but let's be honest, we're not in a position to be drafting 2 running backs when you only got 5 picks. Like, you can make a better use of your picks than that. But shit, you ask me, give me 2 running backs instead of a 7th round tackle like we have in this case in GCL, which I know they like. Brought him in for a 30 visit. But I just let his ass be undrafted. Get yourself Trevor Etienne instead, and you can get GCL after the draft is done as a priority free agent. That's how I feel. But I was like, for the sake of keeping balance, not going to do that. But Caleb Johnson would be a hell of an addition. And we run a lot of zone, which a lot of people might not be the biggest fan of Caleb Johnson unless you run some sort of zone. Well, a lot of our gun runs are zone runs, right? So he would fit here perfectly, and which is why I think they are very interested in Caleb Johnson. He's got great patience, really good vision, good burst, and he's one of those guys that picks up speed as he continues to run down the field. So he's a build-up speed runner, but he would be a good addition at 61, right? Then you get Quincy Riley. That's our fail-safe 4th round corner that we know they like, but again, doesn't mean they're going to draft him. Then Baron Sorrell, I told you that was one of my get out of jail free cards, one of my cheat codes at the end of the draft. Know he was going to be available. And then GCL is a guy that they brought in, 6'8" corner, 6'8" tackle, massive man, longer arms, solid athlete, not a great athlete, but a guy that you could potentially look at as your future swing tackle, right? Because again, Foster Sorrell, who we brought in on a 1-year deal, isn't going to be here for long. He feels like a placeholder now. If he plays well this year, if he's called into duty, maybe he's back for a 2-year deal next year. But he's on a tryout 1-year basis. They'd probably like to find a guy that they could have on a cheap 4-year rookie contract to be their swing tackle. But, we'll see if, GCL can do that for them. But I like this draft a lot. I like this one. I think this one has, like, if you talk about maximizing a draft and getting guys that are instant impact players, you just did that with your first 2 picks. Now, again, the only issue is you didn't do much to help the defense in this particular draft, even though I think Baron Sorrell can help you right away. And Quincy Riley is a question mark, but eventually you feel like he can help you too. But you didn't get an impact defender, right? But there's nothing wrong with taking a strength and making it stronger. I don't see anywhere in the handbook that says don't do that shit. I've watched teams win and win big in this league by taking a strength and making that shit stronger. And right now, our offense is the strongest part of this team. Nothing wrong with taking our offense and making it even stronger. Nothing wrong with that. And so we get to my last one. And I think this is the best one. I'll be honest with you. This is, to me, the best mock draft I've put together right here. And this one would get me the most excited if you ask me as a fan. This is the best work I have. If I don't make any trades, I stick and pick, and the board falls this way, I don't think you can do it any better than this. So Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. To me, if you really want to see the best of Nick Scorton, you need to go watch him at Purdue in 2023 and 2022, but 2023 in particular. That's when he was in shape. And it wasn't that he was out of shape in 2024. He just was asked to put on some weight. Why? I don't know, right? But he was unnecessarily big. This guy was 200 and like, I think he was playing at like 280 this year. 275, 270. Like, he was big. I remember watching him saying, damn, he's a little heavy. And he still looked good as an athlete. You go watch him at Purdue when he was at like 260, 257, which is what he checked in at the combine. That's the shit I'm talking about. He's got a spin move, speed to power. He can bend the corner. He's a tackling machine. He's a smart, heady football player. He's a leader. Everything about Nick Scorton screams commander. Commanders. Commander tag, commander tag, commander tag, commander tag. Nick Scorton looks like a commander, right? 61, Quinshawn Judkins. I think there's a chance he's there. I'd take him in a heartbeat. He checks off every single box at the running back position. He can catch it. He can run it. He's got enough speed to hit the home run, but he's physical enough to get the dirty, nasty yards you need in short yardage situations. When they needed physicality, when they were looking to put teams away with the knockout blow, it wasn't Travion Henderson they were giving the ball to. It was Quinshawn Judkins, right? You want to throw a screen? He can catch it and go much faster than slow. No, he's not Travion Henderson in terms of speed, but he's got plenty of it. He's got enough of it. All right. Would love to add him. To me, that's an instant day one starter type of addition. Those two guys, Nick Scorton and Quinshawn Judkins, that's two starters right away. Then one of my favorite picks would be Dante Thornton Jr. out of Tennessee at 128, which I think he will be available in the 4th round. Again, all it takes is one team to fall in love with him, but there'll be other guys that teams, and he might be one of the biggest beneficiaries of Isaiah Bond's mishap, or at least the timing of it, because Bond would have gone ahead of him too, so that would have been another guy that would have pushed him down the board. Now with Bond having his legal troubles, I think even if a team takes a risk on Bond, it won't be until, later on in day number 3. That would benefit a guy like Dante Thornton, who might get pushed up 1, or 2, selections at the receiver position because of a guy like Isaiah Bond no longer being in front of him. That said, I hope he's available. I told y'all this a while back. Like, guys like Dante Thornton, I don't expect us to draft because I never get what I want. Right? I was talking to my buddy, and he wants to trade. He's a Raiders fan, and he wants to trade back in the 1st round. He wants nothing to do with selecting at 6. And I'm like, bro, you're not getting out. Right. So just like, I've been trying to just rewire his brain. Like, bro, you're not getting out. So I need you to be okay with the selections and the players that are available, because you never get what you want in the draft. You never do. Like, it's easy to have the number 2 pick in the draft and get who you want, like last year. Or hell, I wanted Chase Young. I wanted Joe Burrow, but I knew we were getting Joe Burrow. Chase Young was the next best thing, right? I got what I wanted that year. But that's not hard. You're at the 2nd pick. We're talking 4th round. We're talking 29th. We're talking 61st in the 2nd. We're talking 128th in the 4th. You never get what you want. Boy, 6'5", 205, 4'3" flat. That kind of, like, you could just throw him a slant and he's an angle beater, bro. If he catches it on a dead sprint and the safety's flat-footed, he's running by that dude. With Terry's ability on one side, if you line up Dante Thornton, and I know there are teams that are going to swear we're not going to let this guy take the top off our defense. That's fine. If you've got to give 2 to him deep, well, somebody else should be open. Every now and again, teams are going to give you one-on-one, and if you can sneak a guy like Dante Thornton on in the field, it's hard to sneak 6'5" on the field, but God, we could use that kind of speed. Gosh, we could use that type of speed. I'd love, and in size too, right? In the red area, I know he can be utilized in so many different ways. I'd love that selection. I really like BJ Adams, the corner out of UCF. 6'2", 185 pounds. He's one of the most competitive corners in this draft. He's ultra competitive. His demeanor is one of, I'm going to get in your shit all day today. Pause. And ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Because I'm going to be in your mix. I'm going to get in your face. I'm going to delete the airspace. I'm going to put my hands on you. I'm going to make you uncomfortable. Yeah, I might pick up a penalty or two. But he reminds me of, and not that this was all good, and not that it's all good with BJ Adams, but his game reminds me a lot of that first game of Marshawn Lattimore against AJ Brown, how physical he was with him. Now, there were a lot of penalties in there, and that's not what you want, but there was a level of physicality that he played with in that game that you say, hey, I can rock with that. He gonna make AJ work for this. He ain't gonna let AJ punk him. We watched AJ Brown punk a rookie corner, sun him, all right? And Emmanuel Forbes Jr. multiple times. Watched him sun that man. And I said, I don't ever want to see that shit again. I'd much rather see somebody force this man to draw flags and be physical with him and they duke it out at the cornerback position and let somebody just sun you. BJ Adams plays with a Bashaud Breeland mentality. And Bashaud, you couldn't tell him he wasn't a dog. You couldn't tell him he wasn't a dog. Because Bashaud was going to take that 4.5, 4.40 or whatever it was, and he was going to get right in your face. And when it was somebody like Des Bryant that won't that fast, Bashaud was going to be right in his hip pocket. When it was somebody like Antonio Brown, he was going to get twerked on. But he wasn't going to stop. He wasn't going to stop being a dog no matter what. You couldn't tell him that he couldn't get back in Antonio Brown's face and press him again. Even though I was like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. We already seen the outcome. I wouldn't do it. That's BJ Adams. I like that guy a lot. And then, again, my fail-safe, my get-out-of-jail-free card at the end. Baron Sorrell is my final pick at edge. You double down on edge. You get a very feisty, combative corner, and you get a starting running back and a speed demon at receiver that offers you something else that you could use a little bit of, which is size. This is my favorite draft right here. I honestly don't think you can do it any better than that one right there if you're going to go without any trades, right? If you're going to just stick and pick, to me, that is the draft that gets it done for me each and every single time. So these next few days are going to be treacherous. They're going to be hell because you're passing time. You're going through 50,000 mocks. They're going to be all kinds of rumors, all kinds of links. I know, again, I brought this up on the last video, but I know you saw the Carson Schlesinger link link to the Commanders. I don't buy that for 1 second, but hey, I will push that narrative if it forces a team that loves him to come up to trade with us to come get him, right? I'll push that narrative if some team is like, yo, we want him, and we pick up and say, hey, oh, you ain't gotta get in front of us. We'll trade the pick to you if you want him. If you don't come get him, we'll take him. If that's what we got to do to get out of 29, I'm all for it. But ain't no way we taking the 29th pick and spending it on a true middle linebacker. Ain't happening. Because our 29th pick has to be a guy that's ready to step in day one and help this team win. That's where we at with ours right now. Which is why a Josh Simmons is interesting, because I'm not sure if he's ready to help you day one. He probably will be. I think his injury happened in October, if I'm not mistaken. So you start counting months: November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. August is 10 months, right? He may not be ready to just step in, but I like to think that 10 months is more than enough time for him to at least be back on the field, running around, getting into condition, right? He might not be ready to start the season off. He might still have to start the season off on the PUP list, or he may still have to start the season off, not as a starter, but he'll be ready to contribute, I think, early on. 29 needs to be ready to jump in here and help. I feel the same way about 61, to be honest with you. Those two guys need to be ready. Those other three picks, if we don't move, 4th round, 6th round, 7th round, you get what you get, right? But those first two picks, I need guys that's going to come in here and help right away. We can't have the stuff that we had, for the last 4 or 5 years where either the first round pick won't worth a damn, the second round pick won't worth a damn, or in the case of last year, we had 2 second rounders that were really good, that produced for us, that played, and then we had one that played a lot and started his role, but didn't produce what we thought we were supposed to get. So again, and we've had enough years of our first round pick not being worth a damn, whether it's Jahan Dotson, which he wasn't terrible his rookie season. He just dealt with injuries. He came out like gangbusters, but clearly we didn't get what we were supposed to get out of him. Obviously we got nothing out of Emmanuel Forbes. And, clearly Jaden, rewrote the history books and he broke the mold, but you can't expect that out of your first round pick every year, especially now that you're not drafted number 2 overall. So anyway, I digress. Ethan Dykes, my guy. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Ethan writes, Lou, I'm starting a new tradition, give you my top 5 draft crushes and sleepers. Love to hear it. Let's get it. It says my crushes this year are Golden, so Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. CJ West, is that a defensive tackle? I believe. Don't give me the line. He's a tackle or a linebacker. Let me double check. Let's see. I could track down CJ West. Yeah, Indiana. See, defensive tackle out of Indiana. That's what I thought. Genty, for good reason. Josh Connolly, Jr. out of the tackle out of Oregon, and then Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. So those are his draft crushes. Sleepers. He says, I'll give you my sleepers on the night of the draft. Blessings to you and yours. Okay. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing what those are. Speaking of which, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have my link up for the draft party. So just so we're clear, and I'm going to repeat this a million times until we get to the draft. But day 1 of the draft, we'll be here live. Draft party. Bring your refreshments. No milk allowed. Anything else under the sun. Normally I turn up and have my wine, and it's gonna be a party. I can say that. And we're gonna have a great time. Watch the first round, recap it, and do what we do. Right. Day 2, I'm gonna be with the Commanders Kings during the draft. But just like last year I was on Bleacher Report for day 2 of the draft. And then after that was done, I came back to my channel for the after party. We're going to do the same thing this year. I'm going to be over with the Commanders Kings for the live stream of day 2 of the draft. So rounds 2 and 3. And then after that's met its conclusion, I'll be back here for the after party. So we'll react to what the Commanders did. And day 2 is really interesting because you really could just leave, after the 61st pick. We don't have a pick in the 3rd round. However, you don't know if we're going to trade, back at 61. If we don't trade back at 61, you don't know if we're going to trade back into the, 3rd round where we could package up 4 and the 6 to go get a 3rd, because he could just say, I'm maximizing this year. I see a guy that I think is a blue chipper that has no business being here in the 3rd round, and I'm going to get him. Right? Highly unlikely. I don't see them trading up. I only see them trying to move back, but you never know. So day 2 is going to be interesting because right now it feels like 61 is all we're going to have, and that's it. But you never know what's going to happen on day 1. We may net ourselves more picks, right? We may move out of day 1 altogether, pick up more picks for day 2. So day 2 will be interesting. Whatever the case may be, we will be here on the after party here on the Louie T Network. And then Saturday night, as I customarily do, we do our first initial reaction to the draft, right? you haven't slept on it yet. In most instances, you may not have been able to do a deep dive into some of these players. But we're just going to react to what they've done, you know, and then Sunday we'll have our formal introduction of the draft class, and you start working in some of the undrafteds too, right? Some of those priority free agents that you're starting to hear about, the Commanders adding to the mix, which is going to be exciting this year, because if we don't have a lot of picks, and I talked about this on my last command post video, you don't have a lot of picks, those priority free agents start to become that much more important. And being that we have a roster that's still somewhat wide open towards the back of it, you know, just like last year, 4 guys, I think, made the roster that were priority free agents, or was it 3? Tyler Owens, Colson Yankoff. I think that was it. Those 2 guys made it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think anybody else made it. So either way, there's some opportunities. I'll just say that. All right, let's get to video channel. Been a member for 21 months. Really appreciate you. Who writes? Lou, video channel. I don't think 29 needs to be a player ready from day one. If BPA is a plan, BPA may not allow for day one starter. In the first round, BPA means a starter. There's not many instances where I look at your first round pick, and I don't care if it's BPA or not. First round players are supposed to be ready to play. To me, if you're a first round talent, like, generally speaking, and again, not all, you know, first round picks are ready to contribute right out of the packaging. I'm aware. I'm no fool. I'm not naive. I understand. But for where we sit and for what we're trying to do, like, I don't mind, like in the case of a Simmons, for instance. I don't mind, like, if he's not ready. Let's just say that torn patella tendon requires 12 months of healing and recovery, and then an additional month of conditioning and getting back into football shape. So let's say he's not ready, because 12 months would be October, and then he need another month to condition, which we see that's what they do with players that have been out for a significant amount of time, is they open up that 21-day window, and they usually let them take all 21 days before they finally activate them. So that we would say 13 months. So that would put you at November. That's a first round pick. Okay, I'm cool with that, because that's for the future, right? I get that. That's trying to fortify a position that you have to fortify in front of your biggest prized possession, right? Which is your quarterback. But outside of that, I'm not sure there are too many guys like, okay, so let's say the tight end that I told you, there are only 2 tight ends that I think are worthy of a first round pick. And I'm going to tell you right now, neither one of them are going to be available at 29. I already told you that. And there's no way I expect Colston Loveland to be available. But just in this, for the sake of this argument, let's say he's available and you take him at 29, which I would. If there's no Jahad Campbell or some other blue chipper that doesn't belong there at 29, then you take Colston Loveland, right? He's not starting over Zach Ertz week 1. And John Bates, I've already told you, he's TE2. Like, it don't matter what happens, who you bring on board, John Bates is TE2, right? So either you're starting or you're the 3rd tight end on the roster. They drafted Ben Sinnott last year, so he's sitting at 3. So Loveland would come in here and essentially be your 4th tight end. Is he starting week 1? No. But guess what? They're going to be packages where they're going to try to get him on the field. So I get it. I understand where you're coming from. And I totally understand that if you're taking BPA, best player available, it may not mean you get on the field right away, but first round picks are supposed to be ready to go. Unless there's some sort of injury or some sort of hindrance, like First round picks are first round picks for a reason. Unless you reach for a guy, your first round pick is supposed to be ready to help. And it may not be like the type of production that you're looking for, like Johnny Newton, for instance. Johnny Newton, we took, that was an extension of the first round when we took Johnny Newton, right? And so you were looking for massive production. At least I was 5, 6 sacks in his rookie season. That would have been great. I saw other guys that were defensive tackles do that. But again, everybody doesn't develop at the same rate. And he had different circumstances than Braden Fisk and, some of these other guys that were defensive tackles that had better rookie seasons. That's cool. But he was on the field and he did produce and he did give us snaps. And so I can respect that. I just need you to be on the field. So I get what you're saying, though. Not all, first round picks are created equal. Not all of them are going to be able to jump in and help you. But if you drafted Emmanuel Forbes and that guy can't help you, you didn't draft the right guy more likely than not. And again, I'm not saying that a guy can't be ready to help you in year 1 and then year 2, he can't be better and he won't improve from year 1 to 2, from 2 to 3. And by year 3, he wasn't shit in his rookie season, but by year 3, he's a dog. That can happen. But first round picks, you looking for them, if at all possible, you're looking for them to be a dog right out of the gates, right? You need to have him on a leash because he finna bite somebody's ass. That's the first round pick, right? Hey, you better restrain his ass, put him on a leash, tie his ass up, something. That's the first round pick. He's supposed to be ready to bite somebody. We'll see. Abel Ambrosio, been a member for 29 months. Really appreciate you. Who writes, it's officially draft week. Love it. Best time of the year. The draft itself is great. I love it. The lead up to the draft, oh my God. There's going to be so much shit that comes out over the next 48 to 72 hours. So many rumors swirling. So much shit that you're just like, okay, can we just get to the draft already? Jeez. That's kind of where we're at now, right? But it's a great time. And then, even after that schedule release, we'll be live again tomorrow, because tomorrow, I know a lot of you already know this, but tomorrow is the first day of the off-season program for the Commanders. So they report back to the building. Remember, the teams with new coaches started their off-season program last week. But since we didn't have a new coach, we weren't afforded that this year. So we're starting with everyone else. We start tomorrow. So obviously there will be a little bit to talk about there. So we will be live tomorrow, but obviously we'll be live with the Commanders Kings tomorrow as well. So looking forward to that. V-Chow, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, V-Chow, writes, hope we don't fall for Shamar Stewart. Lack of production is very concerning despite his athleticism. Also doesn't look to have any rush plan. I am not a Shamar Stewart fan. I, like you, am very concerned with the lack of production. I, like you, very concerned with his lack of rush plan. People will blame his lack of productivity on the scheme in Texas A&M and the way he was utilized, and there may be some validity to that. But I've seen guys who weren't utilized in the best way. If you're that guy, right, if they're trying to tell me you're this off-the-charts athlete, then you should still find a way to shine, right? You look, in college, you don't have to have a rush plan. Most guys don't. It's actually a rarity when a guy does have a rush plan, right? Most guys win off of sheer athleticism at the collegiate ranks. And if his athleticism is supposed to be this dynamic and this off the charts and this great, then he should be able to produce more than a sack and a half on average for his career. I'm just not buying into this. He's a tremendous athlete and it's just going to happen at the next level. And it may. Again, I've seen guys that the fit wasn't necessarily great for them in college, and they get to the NFL and they really show what they're truly about. But again, I just don't see it. And again, I'm practical. I need evidence. And he doesn't strike me as a guy that's a difference maker the next time. So we'll see, right? Could be wrong, and we could be regretting this if they pass him up. This is what I hope. Much like Drake London, who I did not want, who turned out to be a really good receiver in this league. I'm not upset that we didn't have a chance to draft him. I don't have remorse that he wasn't available now that we've seen what happened with Jahan Dotson and what happened with Drake London. I'm glad the Falcons took him and didn't even give us the chance, right? I don't even want Shamar Stewart on the board when we select. Don't even give us the opportunity to do something, what I think would be dumb. Now, again, if Chef P says, now we cooking up crack here with Shamar Stewart, bro, this is the guy. All right, I'm a ride like I always do, but that ain't what I have in mind for the 29th pick. That ain't what I got in my mind. So I just let somebody else say, oh, man, this guy's super talented, and let them see the vision, and you take him. You take him. That way, it's not even a discussion for us. That's my hope. I'll be wishing for that on draft night. Ethan Dykes, my guy. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, E, writes, also just want to say, super disappointed in Green's off-field stuff, as you should be. My favorite edge this year, but man, that stuff makes me like him a lot less, LOL. Well, you're not alone. That is going to take some serious vetting. I can tell you right now, he's probably not on our board. With those allegations, he just don't fit what we're looking for. I'm telling you, until they throw us a curveball and go out here and draft a dude with any kinds of off-the-field concerns, I just don't think that's who they're after right now. You know, as they, and again, maybe 5-6 years down the road when we're more established, the locker room's more established, and we are what we are, then I think you'll see us take a risk on someone like that. But I know Todd McShay said that there are two teams in particular that have no issues taking a dude with some off-the-field baggage, and that's the Falcons and the Bengals. They've already made it known. Like, the Falcons need a pass rusher. Bad. Like, really bad. Like, they had a pass rusher, a legit pass rusher, I think since maybe John Abraham. It's been that long. Like, they had Dante Fowler Jr. and some other guy. Vic Beasley in 2016, I think he led the NFL in sacks, but that was a one-off, right? Like, they ain't really had a consistent, hey, go bag me 10 of them things type edge rushers. Is like John Abraham, late career John Abraham for them. Probably their last really good pass rusher was Vic Beasley. So when we got to be approaching almost a decade since Vic Beasley was any good in Atlanta. So they desperate. They surprised everybody and took the quarterback last year and passed up on a Dallas Turner when we all thought that's who they were going to take at 8. I think they taking Mike Green if he's there. And with his off-the-field issues, I have no reason to believe that he won't be there. I mean, I could see Dallas even taking him at 12 because they do shit like that. But the Falcons desperately need a pass rusher, and they're like, yo, we won't give a damn. We vetted him. He ain't been charged with nothing. If he there at 15, we're going to take his ass. And Cincinnati thinking the same thing. They had Sam Hubbard retire, and you got Hendrickson looking for a new deal. You know Cincinnati don't give a shit. They drafted a dude that, and I always say, you try to stay away from the dudes that have been wrapped up in either whooping female ass or trying to steal and take female ass. They took a female ass beater last year in Jermaine Burton, and what did he do? Beat some ass, right? Rookie season. Didn't even get out of their rookie season, and he was already trying to choke somebody and doing all kinds of crazy shit. And he was the guy that I liked last year. So you got to be careful. Mike Green, sketchy, but somebody's going to take him. Somebody's going to take him. That's for sure. V-Chow. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, do you think AP wants a workhorse back? Wouldn't Travion come in and be in a committee versus Judkins, Hampton, or Caleb just take B-Rob's job outright, yes, they do want a 3-down back, which is why I don't think they'd be willing to spend 29 on Travion Henderson necessarily. I don't think that makes a lot of sense for them. And I've been against that, which is why you didn't see a single mock draft of mine with Travion Henderson at 29, because I don't think they're going to do that. Now, if they were to trade back from 29 to say 33, 34, 36, 37, then I think that's the range where they'd be comfortable taking him in the second round while also picking up an additional pick more likely than not, or at least moving up 18, 20, spots in the draft, whatever that looks like for them. But yes, they would prefer a 3-down back, right? A guy that you could give it to 24 times, 18 carries and throw it to him another 6 times out of the backfield, or 21 carries, 133 yards. Like, that's Judkins, that's Hampton, that's, I don't think Amari and Hampton is their guy either. I'm not an Amari and Hampton. I told y'all that. I'm not an Amari and Hampton guy. I don't think they are either. I could be wrong about that, though. I could be wrong about that. But he doesn't offer you a lot in the way of catching the football. I told you, I don't think his vision is great. His contact balance is okay. It's not anything to write home about. I think there are other guys that offer you a little bit more than Amari and Hampton. But yes, to your point, they would prefer a guy that could come in and outright take B-Rob's job. Like, yeah, no, I got it from here, Chief. We really appreciate what you've done, but I got it from here. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Right. Also, explain my CJ West crush. I watched him single-handedly destroy Ohio State's O-line. Dude is the best run stopper in this draft. Thanks for all you do, Lou. Well, I appreciate you, Ethan. He's on my list. I told you I was going to be like binge watching defensive tackles this entire week because that's the best position in this year's draft class. We're going to see a bunch of these guys go off the board in the first 2 days of the draft. So I need to be well-versed in who these guys are. I think I got a strong list of about 20 to 25 of these dudes, and he is definitely right in that list of guys. So I'll be watching that Ohio State game more likely than not, because generally when you watch a prospect, you want to see him go up against elite talent. You talk about defensive tackles, you want to see the best line that he went up against. It's probably going to be the best line that CJ West went up against. So, yeah. Sean the Hawk. Been a member for 23 months, almost at that 2-year Annie, who writes, going to the draft party. Bart Scott. Can't wait. You coming to this one or are you going to the Commanders one? Either way, you're going to have a great time. Looking forward to chopping it up with everyone that's here. And I can't wait to hear about all of you who decide to go to the Commanders draft party. But this one that we're going to have this year is going to be great, just like it always is. We have a great time. We chop it up. We laugh at each other. And this is going to be no different, man. And normally I get a little saucy. I ain't going to front. I get a little bubbly. So you could probably expect that, especially being that we don't pick until 29. So it's going to be a lot of sipping and watching, because we got a lot of time to kill. Red Wing 01. Been a member for 30 months. Really appreciate you, my guy. Red Wings 01. Right. Mike Green should fit right in the AFC North. Good one. Yeah, it's a lot of shady business in the AFC North over the years, right? A lot of shady, a lot of it coming from the Cincinnati Bengals, but there've been quite a few dealings with Justin Tucker and Deshaun Watson, and I know some of these happened before they got to their team, but Joe Mixon, and he's gotten over that, man. And we haven't heard anything else with Joe, but obviously that was a serious thing when he first got there. And we can keep going on and on. There's been so many guys. I just brought up Jermaine Burton. So, yeah, I mean, Ray Rice. Anyway, he'll fit right in like hand in glove. But as a wise man once said, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. And so maybe he doesn't fit in the AFC North. We'll see. Maybe the glove doesn't fit. Hey, he ain't never been prosecuted. So, and he's maintained his innocence, but we'll see what happens. I digress. All right, so that's the last comment. We will get out of here. I'm going to be live in some capacity every day this entire week, all the way through the draft. You already know what it is. So tomorrow during the day, you will get a Commanders video. You will get a podcast tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'll be on with the Commanders Kings. We will be doing a live mock draft tomorrow night. So that's something you want to be a part of. Wednesday night, that's the calm before the storm. We will have our big draft preview on Wednesday night. If I decide to do a first round mock draft, then it'll be on Wednesday night. But more likely than not, I'm just going to get to the draft talk with you guys and preview the draft. And then Thursday, we running day one, night one of the NFL draft 2025 from Green Bay, live from Green Bay. And then Friday night, I'll be with the Commanders Kings again. We'll be there for night 2 of the draft, rounds 2 and 3. Then as soon as that's over, we will have the after party. So if you've stayed up, you're on the left coast, you got plenty of time. You're on the East Coast, it's about to be the weekend, you ain't got shit to do. Come kick it with the kid. We're going to have a party, man. We're going to turn up. We're going to have ourselves a great time and keep the party going, right? Talk about what the Commanders did, talk about what some of the other teams did, any surprises, et cetera, and then kind of set the stage and the table for day number 3. So, and then, like I said, I won't be with you for day 3. That's a marathon. But what I will do is once it's met its conclusion, I will assess what the Commanders have done, and I'm coming straight to you, and we will react initially to the Commanders' final group of prospects that they were able to select in the 2025 draft. We'll initially talk about them. Sunday, we will really go in depth. And then any news of priority free agents that start to come in, and that usually comes in immediately after the draft. You start hearing names. We'll have a more robust and concrete list come Sunday. So we'll be able to discuss that. And then, at that point, we're officially, into rookie minis and all that stuff. And then we'll be looking for the schedule release. That'll be the next big thing. So, yeah. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up, take command, mock draft special, stick and pick edition. So I've given you my with trades, and now you have my without trades, my stick and pick. So check it out. And we'll come back tomorrow. Talk about the first day of the off-season program for the Commanders, among other topics. I'll see you then. Until the next time, I'm your man Louie T signing off. You guys have a good one. Hey.